an idiot. Anyways, all right. So, let's do it. On. Hello, and welcome to another Moonshiners Make Moody Mondays Make More Sense While Midwesterners Mind Melodies of Men Who Might Make It to the Main Stage. Uncle Gary got lit while listening to Leonard Skinner lay to rest an electric lead guitar solo episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
TG3.
Right.
What's up, dog?
Nothing much.
How are you?
Good. We had one Reiki in, and you decided that the room needs sage the whole time.
I think it went out, dude. So
Good.
hold on. One of these moves real quick. Just a little love tap on the
On the Sageroni.
get it going, dude.
But joining us this week in
Live on air, we're gonna burn the
Days
podcast.
Grimm studio is Matthew Jeremy Smith from the Cameron Tabor Band.
You got it, guys.
Nailed it, dude. That's a lot of words.
It is.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of words. That's a mouthful, which Thomas is an expert of.
It's a mouthful addiction.
Dude, Matthew, what's up, man?
Joining us all the way from Kentucky.
Oh, you unplugged?
I'm
Oh,
unplugged. I didn't
unplugged, dude. Hold on. Let's get our sound guy on it, dude. No sweat, man. Easy peasy, quick fix, dude. Thomas, was that your doing? Damn, dude. What is this, fucking amateur hour? Tighten up, bro. Matthew, how are you, sir?
And I'm great.
Now you can hear me again.
Yes, I can.
For the listeners who may not know the Cameron Tabor Band or who Matthew is, or maybe they don't know anything about bass, who are you, dude?
Well, I'm a guy from Western Kentucky. I grew up in between a whole bunch of cornfields. I was the only house amongst acres of corn. And the only exposure I had to the bass guitar was when the Blues Brothers would come on TV. And I could watch this on like a 13-inch black and white Zenith with rabbit ears. And
Hell yeah.
I could barely hear the bass, but it's present through the whole movie. There's 3 stars of that movie, you know, and the bass guitar is the third one.
Oh,
So,
100%.
yeah.
And then who was it? Dan Aykroyd and
It's
Belushi?
oh, I'm blanking.
Was it Belushi?
It's Belushi.
And Dan Aykroyd, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd and Belushi, dude. That's a fuck. I haven't seen that flick. Have you ever seen Blues Brothers?
Not that I can recall.
It's been a long fucking time for me. It came out in like 93 or something. 90.
That was the second one. The first one came out in the late 70s. And
Really?
it's practically a musical. There are musical numbers in it with Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles.
Wild.
But they're not actually like singing their dialogue. That would be the big difference between a movie that features music and then like an actual musical.
Oh, okay. Sick.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is where you get your early exposure.
Absolutely. And it was a real religious background too. So there was no secular music allowed like in the house. But at night, my mom would put on space music from NPR.
Space music.
Yes.
Explain that.
It's ambient sounds.
Like whales fucking or...
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, that's fuck. I'm into that.
Back
dude.
in the day in the bookstore, you could go press a button and you'd hear like violins and wolves or...
Fuck, that's hot.
Yeah, and...
I'm into that, dude.
yeah.
Dude, get some whales fucking with a violin in the
Have you seen
background.
that audio
Exactly.
clip they released from like what space sounds like? That just came out like a week or two ago.
Oh yeah, I've seen that where you hear like the vibrations because there's really no. So we're clear, there sound does not travel in space because
Correct.
it is airless or mostly airless. So sound as a wave cannot travel throughout a medium and
Right.
or without a medium.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be like water, air, or something. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like the vibrations that the planet puts out and like the moon's put out. I think is what you're talking about. It's pretty trippy though.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
I was actually thinking about that very thing on the drive up here because there's like a Christian filmmaker that Louis Giglio, and he talks about all
Really?
the vibrations of the entire universe. and how the stars vibrate, and it's similar to the vibrations that whales make. It's very similar notes and tones and whatnot. And then Christians will use that God that made everything, all these enormous things, to know if you're sucking a cock. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Fuck, man. I mean, maybe he's listening, dude. He's listening to those fucking dick vibrations.
That's gonna be the name of my next album, right there.
Dick vibrations.
There's my fucking.
I'm picking up dick vibrations. I can't wait to cut this shit,
dude. This is gonna be fucking madness. Can I get a fucking credit on the end of that album?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Cheers to that.
Do you like Steel Panther?
Totally.
Yeah, that sounds like one of their.
Dude, do you fuck with Spinal Tap?
A little bit, yeah.
Turn it up to 11?
Absolutely.
I fucking love Spinal Tap, dude. Spinal Tap gets me fucking hard. Dude, I watched that movie probably 1,000 fucking times. Have you ever seen Spinal Tap?
No, but I'm aware.
It's this fucking... The Monolith one gets me the worst. When they're on the stage and they're like, yeah, they're like an English rock band in the 80s, and they're like, yeah, we want what's the name of the fucking headstone? Stonehenge. And they're like, yeah, we want to recreate Stonehenge on our stage for our people to watch. And these English dudes are like, these metal guys are like, yeah, we're gonna have fucking Stonehenge on stage. And then Day comes for the concert, and the Stonehenge guy, the guy who made Stonehenge, is like stones this big.
Nice.
Yeah. So the whole thing is like a spoof on like 80s
rock bands.
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s rock band. It's a fucking hell of a movie. But anyways, say that to say this. What aside from music, who is Matthew? Like, what else do you enjoy in life, or did you enjoy, kind of that shaped you?
Well, for the longest time, I've been an industrial worker in various different jobs. I railroaded for 7 years.
Shit, yeah. Blue collar.
Freight conductor. And we went through Terre Haute. It was Evansville to Danville, Illinois. And Terre Haute is a really historical place for labor and the railroad. That's where Eugene V. Debs made a lot of his speeches that organized the railroad at the beginning. So in the 1800s, they were getting these contracts written. They were fighting, rioting, tooth and nail, and it really shaped what we're still doing today. Now, a lot of that's gone away because they don't want us to know that labor is a continual battle. It's always going on. Corporations are always trying to take away from workers. And I shouldn't say always. There's some good companies out there.
There's some great companies out there, but for the most part, they ride the back of the blue collar guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're making their money off our brawn and our brains was 100%. A common statement. And so that shaped me a whole lot, getting into Eugene V. Debs. And it's the will of the people, the greater good for the masses versus the individual advancement. And I think that's going to be a constant tension in America as a corporate nation. We're all out for ourselves. It's nice when we can bring everybody along. And I'll say that there's room at the top. The Cameron Tabor Band, we've amassed 100,000 plays over our short 5 years.
Congratulations. That's no small feat, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, and that's everything we put out. That's YouTube, Facebook.
It's still not a small feat, man. That's a big fucking deal.
Well, we've been able to capitalize on some things that's made our music very relatable, and where people want to watch our videos because it means something to them.
Oh yeah.
And ultimately, as a musician or an artist or filmmaker, you're trying to hit these emotional cues that people have experienced in their life versus like in relationships or in nature. If you can do those two things, like Led Zeppelin is a master of hitting those emotional natural cues. Like, you put on Zeppelin and you're in dawn or dusk. And things are changing, natural things are changing around you. You've got to respond. And they'll also touch on those on their heartstrings too.
Oh yeah, they do, man. They do. I swear, man.
I hear a phrase you always say about music that like, show me how you feel, or
it was Hank Williams. I was actually going to look it up. I think it's Hank Williams II who said the song is called "The Ride."
Yeah.
I don't remember who sings it. Is it Hank Williams that sings "The Ride"?
That's a David Allan Coe song.
David Allan Coe.
But it's about
And he says in the song, the truck driver picks up David Alco, and David
Yeah.
Alco winds up being, or the truck driver winds up being Hank Williams.
Yeah.
But in that song, you probably know where I'm going with this. David Alco says, or Hank Williams says to David Alco in the truck, he says, can you make folks feel what you feel inside?
Right.
And that is art. And I've had so many artists, like painters and multimedia artists and even rappers, come onto the show. And I bring that quote up every time.
Yeah.
Whether they know who David Alco is or not.
We hope they don't.
That's art. That is. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? You're in a state of mind where you are creating. So in that state of mind, create that state of mind, and you have to make it transferable to
Yes.
the viewer or the listener or whatever.
Which is the magic of music and
Yeah.
art. That
Absolutely.
when you connect in that way, all the boundaries and walls drop.
Oh yeah, dude. You could be a piece of shit human being. You could be absolute garbage of a human being. But if you can transient your emotions onto the crowd or to the listener or to the viewer or whatever medium it is you're using,
Sure.
taste, food, whatever, if you can
Yeah.
translate that emotion, however you're feeling, dude, you're going to make millions. You're going to be a star because that's a very unique talent.
Well, our experiences, while painful and personal, are not unique as a mass. You know, heartache, loss, acquisition, and blessing. It's something that we go through. There is no bad without good and good without bad.
Right.
And it feels in those moments, those painful moments, we do feel so very alone. You know, and like when Stained dropped that first album, I'm on the Outside. You know, everybody flocked to that. Everybody had that feeling of being isolated and ugly and
Ugly like me.
exactly.
You're relating to this a broad feeling that millions of people have.
Sure.
So, and yeah.
A broad feeling of isolation and rejection, and then when you share it, that loses some of the bite. You know, knowing
Absolutely.
that you're not alone in those harsh moments, and then when we're on top, man, it's so crucial to reach out and lift each other up.
100%.
You know,
We'll have to come back to Stained. I'm fascinated by that band and by their lead man. I think it's Aaron.
Aaron Lewis.
We'll have to come back to him. But before we get too deep into the conversation, we do like to do, you've listened to a couple of the episodes before.
I have.
So we do like to do this little treat called the Death of the Week.
I've been dying to hear it.
Now, there's a couple of ways that this typically goes, okay? One is we all agree that it was horrendous and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Or two, we all feel worse about ourselves for laughing at this person. So we're just know that going forward.
This week's Death of the Week brought to you by Thedaysgrimm.com.
Yeah, get you some fucking merch, dude. And then also Corn Dog Development, dude, with the super dope coasters. Man's fucking crushing it. His link will be in the description. Yeah, they're very nice. Promo code Days Grimm to his Etsy store will save you 10% on everything that he makes. Check him out. This week's Death of the Week, ladies and gentlemen. Del City, Oklahoma. A teenager died Saturday from drinking toxic wood alcohol passed off as moonshine. Part of the same batch that killed one youth and sickened others who had attended a party where it was served, authorities say. 17 years of age, died at Plano General Hospital in Plano, Texas, Detective Mark Edwards said. Age 19 of Oklahoma City, remained in custody Saturday on a second-degree murder complaint in the death Friday of partygoer age 23 of Oklahoma City. A witness told police that poured the methanol into a 2-liter soft drink bottle and told people at the party that it was moonshine. Consumption of methanol can shut down a person's liver and kidneys. It can also cause blindness and sometimes death. 2 people who drank the mixture remained hospitalized Saturday, one in Texas and the other in Midwest City. 6 others were treated at hospitals on the night of the party, where a 50-50 mixture of water and methanol was served. The latest victim was not at the party, but obtained the methanol concoction in Texas on Sunday from age 17, who got it from the detective said. That's this week's Death of the Week.
Corn fuel.
Moonshine, folks.
Damn.
Moonshine.
Well,
Here,
it wasn't even real moonshine.
Got killed from some.
it's gasoline at that point. So what's happening here is, you're familiar with Posey County?
Yeah.
Just to the west of us, our neighbor to the west.
Mm-hmm.
There is a ethanol plant out there.
Yeah.
If you're familiar, and you can actually get your hands on like 100% 200 proof ethanol, which is essentially the same thing as methanol. It's one and the same. They're like a molecule away from one another.
Yeah.
But a buddy of mine actually he came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, like I've got this pure, uncut 200 grade ethanol." Yeah, dude, I swear to God. I grew up in a trailer, if this makes any more sense to you. But he hits me up and he was like, "Hey man, I've got this 200 proof ethanol." And I was like, "Can't you go blind from that?" I was like, "Dude, isn't this fucking bad for you?" He was like, "Nah, man," because he works at, I can't say the name, but he works at said plant. And he was like, "Yeah, but we throw out so much of this, that, and the third every day, all day." And I just grabbed some. It was a fucking like office water bottle jug thing that they
Good
tilt upside down,
God.
full of 200 proof ethanol. So needless to say, I drank some of it. And I'm going to be honest with you, it sucked a lot of dick. Dude. Sucked a lot of fucking dick.
Glad you can still see it.
Yeah, man. So shout out to these folks. What do you know about moonshine?
Oh,
It's big down there in Kentucky.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a big
honestly,
thing, dude.
You know, I'm gonna betray my country roots. I don't know a lot about it.
Dude, don't
I know
say
you're
that.
supposed to.
Don't say it too loud.
Yeah. If you light it and it burns blue, you're not supposed to drink that shit. I know that.
Sheesh, is that the rule?
Yeah.
It is crazy though. Have you heard moonshine that you can light on fire?
Yeah, that the ethanol.
Well, other
that I
than
had.
ethanol.
No.
Because that's like gasoline, not moonshine in my book.
Yeah, it really was gasoline. In retrospect, I probably should not have drank it, but I did.
Good for degreasing engines and killing brain cells.
Yeah, dude, cleaning your firearms and catching a buzz. No, yeah, but I've not had it. Have you?
Yeah.
Does it?
I got an uncle that makes moonshine in Kentucky.
Does it fucking ruin you?
Good.
It's good.
Yeah, but you do like a shot of it and you wait. It's almost like an edible where you do a shot of it and you wait like 30 minutes and then you can do
You'd
another
have
shot
to,
or something.
dude. You'd have to. That's too much. It's too much. How are you doing on your beverage over there? So you want to hit another one? You doing all right?
I'll get topped off. That'd
Okay,
be
I'll hook you
awesome.
up some ice real quick. But Thomas.
But yeah, so what did you go to high school in Kentucky?
I did. I was the last class from West Hopkins High School before they consolidated the schools. And that's actually where I got my hands on a bass guitar for the very first time.
Oh, sick, dude.
Yeah, my band director, he'd been with us
Oh, you're good. Yeah, take your time.
from the 6th grade. So, like, when we were just little kids, he put instruments in our hands for the first time. And
Was that a part of the school curriculum? Because I know like in our school we had to pick an instrument and I had to pick an instrument in 6th grade. I don't know about you.
Mine was 5th grade. 5th grade, I had to choose an instrument. Like, what do you want to learn how to play? And I got stuck with the fucking French horn.
Yeah, he told him he said I want to play that thing they play taps on. He said the French horn. He meant the trumpet.
gotcha.
I'm a fucking idiot.
The
That's
people
what-
that play the French horn, they're like, that's the impossible horn. Like, it's,
I was
it's all
terrible
over
at
the
it.
place.
I was terrible at it, dude.
Yeah, you got to be really centered to play that thing with any kind of accuracy.
So you picked up a bass guitar, not an upright bass.
Well, that was later on in high school. And you're right, we started at 5th because I'm thinking 3 years in grade school and then going
Yeah,
into
5th
high
grade,
school.
I think is about where I started.
And Brad Smith, no relation, he'd had me on trombone, and I was decent at trombone. I didn't have a great tone. And there was a Washburn bass guitar in there that the pep band used.
Okay.
And I wanted to play that thing so bad. And he goes, I tell you what, if you'll play the tuba, I'll let you play this bass guitar. And I was like, all right, I'm on it. And that translated into, we had a sousaphone. Sousaphone's the one that goes around your neck that you just wear
God.
that bitch.
Yeah, that bitch is fucking 60 pounds too, isn't it?
Oh man, it's heavy. And then now we weren't a marching band school, but we did have to march in parades. And you'd see us coming, all out of step, feet, different
shuffling.
directions. Definitely shuffling. There was a member that shuffled.
Got different shoes and shit on, just like
Yeah, whatever was left in the closet.
dude's got shorts on. It's like, who told you to wear shorts, dude? We're wearing pants out here. Dude's got on corduroy shorts. You know what I mean?
With his boots still on.
Now, what the fuck are you doing, Daryl?
Beanfield boots.
He probably grew up in a trailer as well, though. And I have respect for individuals that grow up in a trailer. I really do. There's something to be said about those folks. They're very resilient.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
you're playing this wrap around your neck.
Yeah.
Wind
what's it called
instrument.
again?
A sousaphone. And so we'd have to show up at like
It's
a
ridiculous, dude.
Philip Sousa.
Sousaphone.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Like Dr. Sousaphone,
Yeah,
like,
that puts some respect
one fish,
on it.
two fish.
Redfish sousaphone.
Yeah,
This is fucking getting out of hand. So you learn how to play the sousaphone. How difficult of a task is that?
it wasn't that much different from a baritone, which is like a upright trombone with valves, basically. So it was in my wheelhouse. Anything bass clef that you go into, I can play that thing.
Yeah.
And it was just the wind capacity to play it. And I was also a cross country runner.
Okay, got the bags on you. Got some pipes.
At that time, yeah.
Not anymore.
COVID will fuck you up, man.
You got it?
Yeah, I had it.
You had it?
Yeah.
Not like right now, obviously.
No,
I didn't
not
mean
at
it
all.
like that. I was like, damn, you got it
No,
right now.
right now I just have AIDS. But
Yeah, that's
No.
legit, dude. Also, shout out to that kid who has AIDS, man. He was on the show. You featured him.
Oh, yeah.
And where was that at? Indianapolis?
Yeah, the Indianapolis Children's Museum.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Ryan spoke out about AIDS, and then my friend here put a sticky note on Ryan's forehead that said, "This kid got AIDS."
Fuck.
Yeah, this is who you're talking to right now. Just a heads up. So
Well, it's
not-
either that or an Anne Frank one, and I didn't want to be.
moving forward. I'm gonna have to bleep, dude. I don't think you can say that.
Just the ante.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you leave in there.
Yeah.
I'll flag that. So moving forward, so you learn the sousaphone.
I did.
And then you're big
the-
on the bass clef.
Well, the reason they make you switch to that instrument was so that you would learn bass clef, or is the first instrument already in?
The first
Trombone.
instrument was already bass clef,
Okay. Yeah.
and then I would like rob a baritone every now and then, so
Nice.
bass clef.
Nice.
And the fingering positions are just like a trumpet,
Yeah,
which is a treble clef.
that's a treble instrument.
And I could no longer read treble clef. Like my grandmother put me in piano when I was in the 4th grade. And
Nice.
Piano has to learn all three, don't they?
Two. It's bass and treble. Yeah, you have to be able to play the bass on your left and the treble on your right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other clefs, but it's for these woodwinds that I don't know shit about.
Fuck those, dude. Goddamn oboe.
Well,
Get your
there's-
fucking oboe out of my
There's
face.
three of
Rich.
them in an orchestra.
No, it's just bass and treble.
No, there's
all
a
it
third
is.
one. The cello plays something.
Right.
Oh, is there a
Or
third
the
one?
cello-
viola.
Cellos,
It's the cello and the viola or
Saxophones,
something.
the oboe is in it, and then my band director is going to listen to this podcast and be like, "I failed."
Fucking you let the
listen to
whole
this
country
guy.
down. Let's not get into the nitty gritty. So anyway,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're familiar at this point in the 5th, 6th grade with bass clef. So you're crushing that.
Right.
So when do you get the opportunity to play that bass guitar?
Sophomore year is when we made the deal with the tuba and the bass guitar.
Nice.
And so this would have been like 93, 94. And all that Seattle music had just happened.
Nirvana.
Yes, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and it's not really Seattle music, but Stone Temple Pilots. And
That
so
grungy, like, I hear ho. That
Yeah.
stuff. Fucking love that shit.
That's
dude.
right.
Shit gets me fucking 3/4.
Well, my band director was real big into like Frank Zappa.
Okay.
Like he was a rock musician when he was a teenager,
Yeah.
and so he transcribed "Smells Like Teen Spirit" for us, and we played it in the pep band in like '94.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So some of my first bass guitar experiences were with music that I loved, that my mentor had made possible for all of us to do, and we rocked that pep band hard.
Shit, yeah.
Like as far as a marching band, no, we couldn't compete. Concert band, we were competitive in our class. As a pep band, we had a ball, man.
That pet band's that's a different spirit animal.
It was,
Yeah,
you know. We could tell that we influenced games when people came to West Hopkins to beat the shit out of us.
Oh yeah,
Which they did. That
Make
you
sure
know,
they had a good time doing
Yeah,
it.
exactly. we were full of pep for the loss.
getting people just jacked up on fucking Nirvana and Ozzy Osbourne and the fucking what are some other than 90s grunge did you guys play in the pet band? Did you play like some Ozzy?
Well, no, that was
Crazy
probably
Train?
the hardest stuff that we played was the Nirvana. And there's these classic songs like Louie Louie and Hang On Sloopy that are basically the same song. You know, You Really Got Me, that kind of thing. But we played the theme from Home Improvement, the Tim Allen. Yeah, so I had to try and learn how to slap immediately, which I
Because
failed
it's a
at
funky
for-
beat, yeah.
Yeah.
Home Improvement is oddly enough for a show about fucking the Midwest dad Home Improvement guy who does a TV show. You would think it would not be like funky, but it was like very Seinfeld-esque.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Type beat.
Did you form like a band in high school?
definitely. My first band was with Tom Sisk, David Malacote, and Brad Blaylock was in and out of that thing. And Dave's not with us anymore. He had a bad 4-wheeler accident and then passed away later in a nursing home.
Shit, dude, I'm so sorry.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
That's shitty.
He was a lead singer and a lead guitarist. If that tells you anything about his
The
personality,
fucking stud, and he's loud.
yeah. And he would also do silly shit in the name of a good show. Like,
Fuck yeah.
I remember one time afterwards, just to impress people, he ran and there was a cymbal from a drum set laying on the ground, and he ran and he jumped on it. And when you do that
yeah.
on slick asphalt,
Yeah, buddy.
you create a projectile.
Yeah.
He shot that thing probably 20 feet, and he went back probably 7
Damn.
on his back.
That's a fucking Skid Row maneuver right there.
Totally.
So in high school, were you guys performing anywhere? Or
We did. We played at the school a couple of times. That was my first experience competing with a UK basketball game on television for the audience's attention. I tell you, I don't like doing that ever.
Yeah, they don't like it either. They're like, turn that shit off. The cats are on. Oh, cats! You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck are you trying to play music over here, man? And they're
Right.
like, it's the Elite Eight. Fuck, man, whatever, dude. And then they got in trouble for like getting strippers for their fucking basketball team or something. That guy got fired, I think. Did you hear about that?
No, that really boosts team
That's
morale.
some
You
Rick
know?
Pitino shit
Yeah,
there.
Bettino was the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that got in trouble, right?
You know, and everybody wants him to get the good recruits.
Yeah.
Don't handicap the guy.
Yeah, hell of a coach, dude. Honestly, and they say the same thing about Bobby Knight, man. 3 fucking titles under his belt, dude. Stud. And then it's like you snap one kid's fucking forearm, and it's like, you know, fucking now you're a bad guy, you know,
Right.
Fucking terrible person or whatever. But he just wanted to win.
Exactly.
So
you know?
how young do you think you were when you were performing some of your first shows?
17. We're playing.
That's young.
We
That's young.
played at the WAG at Murray.
Okay.
We took PVSP ones down there, the 1,000-watt speakers, to play
Yeah.
a coffee shop with 6 people.
That's aggressive. That's a bold strategy.
Yeah.
That's a bold strategy, dude.
What was crazy about it, I mean, we had everything dimed out. It was one of the loudest shows I ever played. People sat in there and played chess while we did that.
Oh yeah,
That's fucking hot, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. If I don't hear fucking Slayer in the background, I don't want nothing to do with a chess game. That's where I'm at, dude.
Yeah.
I want some Iron Maiden. Get Eddie the fucking come down from the rafters, the little
Some
skeleton
strobe
guy,
lights
dude.
going off.
Some strobe lights, and then I'm in the zone. I'm gonna win that chess
It's a game about war.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
It's battle.
Bring it on.
So you're doing that for what was the name of that band? Did you say?
That was Altered Faith.
Altered Faith.
And it was not a Christian band, ironically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we thought we were heavy. We played a bunch of Smashing Pumpkins and Alice in
Hell yeah.
Chains.
Hell yeah.
And, we're getting into drop D tuning, these big, heavy strings. They were coming out for the first time. You could get
Hell
these
yeah.
heavy gauge strings. One of the gauges of strings bent the tuners on my guitar.
Damn.
Because, things were... Corn was happening.
I was going to say, that's some flea shit right there, dude. That's some fucking... You slap that string and it just fucking wobbles around for a little bit. You know what I mean? What do you think about Flea? He's pretty fucking sick.
Flea and Donald Duck Dunn are probably my two biggest
Who's Donald
influence.
Duck Dunn?
Donald Duck Dunn was the guy that played the bass all throughout the Blues Brothers, and he was
shit. Okay.
He was I could be wrong. I think it's Motown house band bass. It could have been Stax Records.
Okay.
But all that Sam and Dave shit, it's Donald Duck Dunn.
Nice.
He's got the curly perm. He's got the pipe.
Okay.
And so I adopted the pipe into my stage act quite
I've
a
seen
bit.
that in your music videos. Yep.
And I was tearing apart this vintage custom 215 bass cabinet, and I'll be damned if there wasn't a toy Donald Duck in there.
Oh yeah.
Some kid pushed it through like the port in the 80s or something, and I was like, it's a sign. You know, I'm doing the right thing. I'm following the right people.
That's what's up, dude.
And as far as a group of athletes, you can't beat the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And people will trip on them because
Anthony Kiedis is a fucking stud.
He is.
Dude's got Hep C and he's out there crushing dicks left and right. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Absolutely.
Dude's fucking on death's door and he's still fucking snapping dicks.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to read that book, Scar Tissue. You got to read that fucking book.
So how long do you have this band? You think until...
Altered Faith probably lasted 3.5, 4 years.
So you're getting out of high school. What'd you do about this time?
Oh, that's when I started knocking people up. That's when music,
children, babies.
Right. That's
you got
when,
what, 6?
No, I got 3.
Okay, 3's not bad. That's manageable.
It's manageable.
They say you don't
sure.
really. They say you don't really reproduce until you have 3 kids.
What the fuck are you stupid?
Well, that's what they're saying. If you want your name and your lineage to continue, you need to have at least 3 kids.
In case one of them gets polio or hit by a fucking golf cart or something.
I don't know.
That's the modern problem. Hit by the golf cart. Or,
yeah, dude.
Falls off a VR stand and breaks his neck.
Last week we just did a whole fucking Franklin D. Roosevelt episode and we talked about polio for like 30 minutes, dude. I swear to God, didn't we?
Yeah,
you got brought up a lot, dude.
Episode. So you start having kids at a young age?
Yeah, and then I just went to work. My best friend, I was 19. He took me aside. I'll never forget it. It was in front of my great grandmother's house on Herrick Street, and he picked me up in his. It was like a '98 Z71 black truck. He'd gone to work for the railroad. He had money.
Shit, yeah, the square bodies.
Yes,
those were hot bitches, dude.
Yep.
I'm not a Chevy. I'm a Ford guy, but fuck.
I mean, it's a classic era for both mates.
You can't deny that truck.
It was a badass truck, and I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, "You're going to go to work. You're a dad now. It's time to be a man. Step into this. You got this."
100%.
And I did.
Did the music kind of get put on the back burner for a little bit? Or
It absolutely did. I was working 2 full-time jobs for a long time. I worked at...
Respect.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Gibbs Die Casting second shift. Pioneer
I know
Point.
Gibbs.
Yeah. That's a rite of passage around here. You got to go in there and get a severe burn.
Oh, yeah.
Or
dude.
do you really come from the tri-state?
Yeah, you got to lose a limb or a digit or something. And then people are like, oh, you worked at Gibbs.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Gibbs Diecast, and those are unique folks. Actually, in my job, which I don't disclaim on this show who it is I work for, but in my field, we'll talk after the show, but I've worked with Gibbs Diecasting.
Gotcha.
So, pretty interesting. I know a little bit about those folks.
So the music kind of goes on the back burner for a little bit. Are you still playing and like writing music, or just not as much and just...
Well, the way I write is there's a couple of different ways a song will present itself. And during that time period, and this is like a decade-long time period of not really playing with a band, some songs would just present themselves. They would just... It's almost like
a flasher. Like you didn't even ask for him to show up, but he just pulls trench coat off, and you're like, "Damn, there you are."
Yeah, there's the hook. Right there it is.
Curves a little to the left.
God damn it!
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah, so it would just kind of regurgitate out onto the page, and I'll be like, "Oh, there's a song." So I've got a couple of those.
You said, "There's the hook."
Yeah,
that's the chorus right there.
Is that Gonzo? No, that's
Is that Jacob's Ladder? What do you got going on there, pal?
Do you know if you get a Jacob's Ladder, you can't fuck for like until it heals up?
I have a funny penis thing that I'm going to bring up here in a moment, but I want to ask: Have you guys seen a weird penis?
I mean, I think real life has.
Have you seen a strange penis? You just see it and you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, in scout camp, I saw a strange penis that...
Camp counselor Kyle? I'm just joking. Dude, no. Camp Master Kyle? No, dude. So I was in the military for 3 years, 17 weeks, and 5 days. So in that time frame, I saw a lot of dick. I was in the infantry.
Gotcha.
So no women allowed. So just a lot of dick on dick, tip to tip. And I've seen some weird fucking dicks, dude. But that being said, the story I had for you about Jacob's Ladder, a buddy of mine had the piercing where if this is my cock, if this is my dick, and there's the tip, the fucking piercing goes.
Prince Albert.
It goes through the base into your urethra and then out your pee hole.
I just want to say officially, fuck that.
So homeboy does.
the Prince Albert.
Homeboy gets the Prince Albert, right? And I'm still tight with this guy today. I pray to God he sees this episode. I'm gonna clip this and send it to him.
Yeah.
But in the military, when you have weird piercings like that, you're actually not allowed to have any piercings. So they make you take them all out.
Right.
So he had to take his out after he told the guy or whatever, like, I got this fucking dick medal, and they were like, take it out. So forever, his party trick would be because once he got in, he put a piercing back in it, obviously just to plug the hole or whatever. But his party trick would be he'd reach in his pants and pull his little fucking Prince Albert out of his dick, and then he would pull his dick out and pee, and it would go in two streams. It would come out of the base of his ween. It would come out of the base of his ween and then out the front. So he could just never pee normally without a piercing in there.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's wild.
Wow.
Wild stuff. I've seen some weird dicks, dude, but that's the weirdest for sure.
Wow. When I was on the railroad, that's fucking.
I wanted to
out there.
derail this conversation as much as possible, by the way.
With the train reference.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, 1 second.
I
God
got
bless you.
Thank you.
I got written up in Indianapolis for having my tongue pierced.
Damn.
Yeah, I was with the trainee, and I was bringing him back, and I was like,
Trainee, so we're clear.
yeah,
Trainee.
there was a trainee running the engine. I was on the ground with a radio, and I'm like bringing back 5 cars, and he starts coming back about 30 miles an hour. I'm like, whoa, bring him back to what's just that'll do. Stop, blam. And these cars hit so fucking hard that they went up in the air like an accordion and sat back down. And this plume of rust just rose up off the ground. It was super loud. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
I've fucked around with rail cars a little bit. I know how dicey they can be.
He wailed into this thing. And the officials show up, and my tongue was pierced. And they're taking down the incident, and it just happened to hang out, like I was nervous.
You fucked up.
I did. And they're like, what you got there? I'm like, well, don't you know? I'm a rock star.
On rail cars, while we're talking about it, because you have a brief experience working with them. Well, actually, probably not brief. How long were you with them?
7.5 years.
So a good amount of experience. But I worked a little bit at a mill where we transferred stuff on cars.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see or hear anybody ever get pinched between those little clevises that where they mesh together and catch
The
each
knuckles.
car? Yeah, the knuckles. Is that what they call it? Have you ever heard of a story where a dude got pinched between the knuckles?
Well, in training, they will tell us a story. And I don't know if this is a fable or really a fact, but
Right.
that a guy was in the gauge of the rail in between.
Yeah, the rails.
Which is how they connect them most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't stand in there.
I watched a
because-
guy in a third world country stand between there while they were
Yeah, dude.
Connecting them.
That's what we're talking about.
Jesus, man.
But they tell you this story basically.
Yeah, that a guy was in there and he coupled himself up.
Nice.
Yeah, in the knuckles. And so the officials came out. And so there's so much pressure. The story is that there was no bleeding. But they knew as soon as they separated the cars, all his organs were crushed. He was going to bleed out.
Peace out, world.
They bring a sheet. They put him around him. They bring his wife down there so she can tell him goodbye.
And he's fully cognizant.
Mm-hmm. He says, goodbye, sweet love, and then they uncouple and he's gone.
Tell my boy to swing away.
Right.
Dude, fuck me. That's dark. Yeah, I just figured maybe you knew somebody or had heard somebody.
Well,
so when you're
we had a guy up there, and I'm not going to say his last name, but Mo. How'd you get your thumb in there?
Shout out to Mo.
Yeah.
Missing a damn thumb.
He lost a piece of it, and I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
hey, a thumb's worth more than any other finger on insurance.
That's true. That's true. That holds up in court.
Mo's thumb wasn't worth shit because he didn't care to stick it in the
That's
knuckle.
something you see at a lot of steel places or places that work with metal. There's a lot of missing fingers.
Yeah, dude.
Worked with a guy that had a
wild
steel
world.
fabrication place. He was missing a toe and a finger, and
Such
people
a-
dropping steel and
No one
leaving-
gives a fuck, dude. They're just
man.
like, it's an appendage, whatever. I can fucking claim it on my insurance.
Right. You're making $60,000. What are you crying about?
Dude,
Right.
so you're fucking.
I made a year's salary, and all I did was lose the tip of this finger.
So how long are you? I gotta ask.
Yeah.
How long are you hustling
Before you start getting back
for
into
these
music.
babies? Because you got now. Let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah, you
Let's-
said about 10 years.
you said you had 6 kids. So
Three.
I said.
I mean,
6.
it's
You
3
said
that I
3.
know of.
3
I mean,
times
there could
2
be-
is 6, though. So
It is.
we'll split the hairs and call it 5. You
All
probably
right.
got 2 out there you don't know about.
Maybe.
And if you see this podcast,
Hey,
you
girl.
two, his address is no. I'm just joking. No, but how long are you hustling for these babies after you've had the third before you get into music full time? How long does it go on before you're like, damn, music is what I'm gonna do now? Like,
Yeah.
so you work less and start getting into music more again.
Well, I guess it's been, man,
like 10 years or something.
going on 15. Because I started being in bands again when my youngest was about 9 or 10.
Damn.
And she's 17 now. They're 17 now. So yeah, it took a large chunk of my life just to do what had to be done.
Right.
And in that time, I mean, I'm not a college graduate. I went several times. Every time that I would enroll and get some momentum, I'm getting somebody pregnant again. So I need to narrow it down. My first 2 children are with my first wife, and my last child's with my second wife. And
Okay.
the railroading was my second wife. That was our life together. And it was very stressful. Their lifestyle is horrible.
A lot of hours.
You're getting called at 2 to be there at 4. You get a 2-hour call.
And they're strict on like you can't have alcohol in your system for like 36 hours before you go to work. And
Right. Now, unless they've done away with it, there was a way out. You could say, hey, caller, mark me off red block. And they couldn't ask you any questions. They'd just be like, Mr. Smith, you're off. And that's to protect you in case you just happen to do like a whole bag of before you got your call.
shit.
Or
Were you in the day?
And I don't know where you would even find a
But
after
you had some
1984.
back in the day?
But back in your
you know.
time, yeah.
My
You know the funny story about
time?
that?
I've loved to get my hands on some even if they're expired.
The funny story about that is that it's a sleep medication. Like they literally made that medication for fucking lonely housewives.
It's like Ambien.
Yeah.
But
So basically the thought behind it, or like getting high behind it, was to like pop and
Yeah.
then fucking just fight the tiredness. And then once you got through the sleepy stage, you're now tripping your fucking nutsack, right?
gotcha.
Dude,
I'd never make it.
Imagine,
I would never make
I
it.
have an aunt that takes Ambien, which is like, I guess, the knockoff version of that. And she would take it and then be like, oh, I got to go to the gas station real fast. And then she'd have no clue how she got home from the gas
Right.
station. Or you'd be
Yeah.
sitting there and she took her medicine and she's talking to you about random shit. You know, you're like, you're coming upstairs from the basement. She's off her ass. Like, you're just like, all right, cool. I can go outside and smoke. And, you know, aunt's not
Wild
gonna
times,
really-
man. It's a wild time.
It is wild.
It's a wild time to be alive.
Well, I mean, you can fast track the FDA now with enough money, and so anything gets to market, and no one's responsible for any addiction or injury. They've passed all that legislation, so anything goes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
If you're the rich, you know.
Yeah. The
So-
top earners.
So about 15 years goes by and you're getting back into music. Is it for, or like, what's your reasoning to get it back in?
Well, it's always been in my mind, and as a musician and as a band life person, every thought, every iconic scene that you see in life, you think that would be good for pictures, that would be good for video.
Right, yeah.
Oh, look, there's an old TV antenna tower laying there. That could be a light rig one day. I'm gonna put that away for later. I'm going to pawn shops. I pawned a lawnmower one time and bought effects pedals, with no hope of being in a band.
Fuck a lawnmower. You don't need that shit, dude.
For real.
Some of the
Get you a
kids out there with some scissors.
Get you a nice goat or something.
Yeah.
I know a guy if you need one. So just holler at me.
I worked with a guy at Gibbs they were always accusing him of fucking goats, and he bought this hot tub.
Well, did he?
Brian watched
one
a guy
man-
f*** a goat once.
I did. I've seen that happen. It's interesting how it lines up. It's like perfect. It's strange. It really is.
He bought a hot tub, and they said, "There you go, Tom. Now you can get a bunch of nannies in there." He goes, "No, man, one at a time. I'm not a pervert." So
What a fucking plug, dude. That was perfect. I like the way you transitioned my fucking goat story into our fucking interview. Yeah, man. So Thomas is really good. He's getting a lot better at transitions and like
I can tell
jokes on key.
he didn't get his right hand or his left hand tangled up once. Like, it's
100%, dude. Look at you, man.
Yeah.
Fucking crushing it. How long are you? Okay, so we're saying 15 years, and then you dive into what at 15 years?
Well,
what happens at that point?
The first real band that I was able to put together, my wife at the time and I did Solstice, and it was a big band. It was
is that an Islam thing?
It's a cycle of the sun and the moon. It's when you can have a winter solstice and a summer solstice.
Oh,
it's
okay,
the shortest day of the year and the longest day of the year.
It's not religious.
It's not really religious, but you might say it's pagan. I'm sure there's religious connotations.
The days of the year are getting longer by the day.
I love Halloween, by the way. Speaking of the pagans,
Yeah.
fucking
Or Easter.
shout out to those
Well, I
guys.
mean, you can also speak of Easter and Christmas, speaking of pagans, because they're all based on pagan
And Sundays,
holidays.
every Sunday is
Yeah.
named after a pagan.
Jesus said, don't do that, but, let's not slow us down now.
Yeah,
we
we
got Hallmark involved.
we said fucking YOLO, dude. There's fucking money to be made here.
Right.
These bitches need their chocolate. Dude, I'll tell you what, man, that's interesting. So the first band's called what? The one with your first wife?
And
Oh, that's the name of the band. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And so I'm going to give you a little background on the Western Kentucky music scene.
Oh, 100%, please.
How it translates to a national music scene. When I had Altered Faith, high school band, there was a kid playing bass at that time. His name was Landon Miller, and he was playing with Corey Woosley and this girl named Hannah. And they were playing like Rage Against the Machine covers and stuff.
Ooh, fucking love some Rage, dude.
Absolutely, man. It gets me pumped.
Oh, dude, I'll fucking rob a grocery store. You put on some fucking Rage Against the Machine, dude. I'm loading a fucking AR-15 and going to work. I don't know why, but
Man.
anyways, not to derail.
It's a mission.
So he's
but-
playing a lot of Rage and a lot of stuff like that. So
and Landon, he borrowed a 5-string bass from me at the time. It was
which is hot.
yeah, 5-stringer, dude. That's fucking titties.
And this was like 94, so it was really weird to see a 5-string.
back then, yeah. Now it's like
bass.
kind of common.
It is. And I bought it from a guy that was in a band with Randall Payne. What's up, Randall? From Tumult. And that was like a Pantera type band that was practically signed several times as Pantera was becoming known. Like,
Damn.
Western Kentucky had its own groove metal band.
Dude.
And only because of their dysfunction did they not ever become signed. But every one of those guys, solid fucking musicians, and they've all turned out to be solid people now. And like, they're still contributing. Benji Duval, killer drummer. Got to say, what's up, Benji? You influenced a whole generation of drummers. But shit, where was I?
I have a fun fact about Pantera while we're talking about it.
Lay it on me.
Dimebag was shot on the same day as Lennon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would have thought
right.
he would have OD'd and
John
instead of
Lennon.
died with a name like Dimebag Darrell.
I was.
Isn't that so? Did you know that? He
Yeah.
died on the same day as John Lennon? I didn't know
did.
that until we looked it up on the podcast not too long ago.
Right.
We did Dimebag Darrell as our Death of the Week. And
Yeah.
like, normally we bleep the name, but if it's a famous person and a well-known story, we just let it ride.
Right.
But we let it ride, and then we looked it up, and then it wound up being that the same day, 30 years ago, or 40 years before or whatever, Lennon was shot outside of his hotel room.
Yeah.
And it's probably that bitch Yoko's fault. Fuck you.
I mean, she busted the Beatles, but
Dude, she's such a fucking... Her music is fucking sick, but for real, she can eat shit.
I was in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. I was working as a merchandiser in Lowe's stores, and it was 8:40 in the morning. And my friend Brad Blaylock, who was in Altered Faith from time to time, he called me. And he said they shot him. Dime's dead. He's gone.
Yeah.
Dime was shot. And Dimebag Darrell had meant so much to Brad and so much to us as musicians, because the virtuosity aside, there's soulfulness in the groove, and the groove is not present in much metal. Like,
No.
they did something very special and unique, and it meant,
Cowboys from Hell? I mean, come on, dude. It speaks
Yeah.
volumes.
it does.
Volumes.
And I'll never forget. I was in the outdoor part of the Lowe's doing something with like a koi pond fountain or something, and Brad calls me, and I took off my vest and sat down in a bay, and we just absorbed that moment together. He'd been upset for a long time, and
dude.
like major influence on the way he plays. And Brad Blaylock is he's an undiscovered gem in West Kentucky as far as guitar playing. There's guys that play guitar. There's guys that have guitars and they act like they play. Brad is a guy who has a camera and a guitar, and he goes to work making scissor lifts every day. and he has this enormous wealth of talent inside of him that he could go pro on either one of those things at any time.
But so you were essentially kind of relating like the Pantera groove or vibe, the way they perform on stage, not even just their physical act, but just their music, how it sounds, the way that it tells a story.
Yeah.
Inside of this metal thrash world.
Yeah.
But you were saying earlier that Western Kentucky had a lot of that.
Absolutely. Tumult, they had the power groove down. And this would have been at the same time that I think maybe Vulgar to Display of Power was coming out. So they were recording their material around the exact same time.
Nice.
And the thing that people don't know about Western Kentucky is it's deep musically for all the same reasons why.
And it's vast too. I mean, they've got orchestra music, they've got country music, they've got rock music.
That's right.
They got that little weird kid with the eyes.
Yeah.
That plays the banjos.
Exactly.
And what was that movie?
I don't know.
Deliverance? No,
Yeah.
not Deliverance. The one where it's not Deliverance. Fuck, what is it?
I can see the kid in my
the
head.
creepy little kid,
He's
and
my
then him and
cousin.
you guys are related.
We have
and then that
sex.
weird guy with the glasses plays guitar, and then it's dueling
Yeah.
banjos.
Yeah.
It's Deliverance.
Yeah.
It is Deliverance.
It is Deliverance.
Anyways, but yeah, so you guys are.
I think
you
that
guys,
was West Virginia.
you got
But we'll
him.
claim them too. They
Yeah.
don't have shoes either.
Yeah,
so
they don't
bring it
have
on
shoes.
in.
I make that joke all the time. They don't have shoes and they don't read good. I say that about we've had a couple folks from Kentucky on, and I'm like, it's a running joke that you guys don't have shoes and you don't read good.
How long did you have the band Solstice?
Solstice only lasted a couple of shows, but it was a very encompassing band. We had a commercial lender playing the acoustic guitar. There was a co-owner of a tattoo shop and is singing backing vocals. There was a production engineer from let's bleep that, a wood processing company that played the drums and the didgeridoo. And we tackled
I love the
yeah.
That's a didgeridoo,
That's
by
some
the way.
tube and throat singing right there. You had
yeah,
like
dude.
3 notes going.
Oh, 100%, dude. I'm like, you ever seen The Exorcist? I'm like that girl from The Exorcist. Fuck me. What was the name of that wood shop again? It was.
They may be defunct. It may be okay to say
So,
it, but
is that after that band kind of dies down? Is that when you start this new band?
well, okay. So one of the primary functions that band had,
It was like bringing the whole community together of that town.
It did across different economic levels and in different social areas. But there is a band called Gypsy Lifter, and
That's a fucking hot name.
And in that band, and every part of that band, they are savant in their own ways.
Oh, dude, that's scary.
Chad Estes is the primary songwriter and lyricist.
Okay.
He is the Neil Young of our generation.
Damn.
I want him to be discovered before he's gone. I don't want this to be an Elliott Smith situation where after he's gone, everybody's like, oh, Chad Estes was the man. I'm telling you right now, you go to Chad Estes Music on Facebook, look up Gypsy Lifter on YouTube. You're going to see some amazing musicians.
A good time.
Absolutely. Mike Miller, he's probably the most underrated guitarist in Western Kentucky. He's a genius. Randy Stone, Black Star Media. He does the website for Shooter Jennings. He's an incredible drummer. He's an extremely versatile drummer. And he's recently grown leaps and bounds as he had to redefine his style for some Chad Estes solo shit. But the bass player for Gypsy Lifter was Landon Miller. And Landon, now this is Altered Faith era, when I let him borrow that 5-string bass.
Right.
He played me some shit that was so good that I didn't even know what the fuck he was doing. He played it for me, and I said, keep going, man. You'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it was a Victor Wooten level type bass solo. It was so good that I didn't understand it as a bass player. Now, Landon was a childhood cancer survivor.
Yikes.
And he was a good songwriter. He was an excellent bass player. He's an excellent human being. He was covered in tattoos towards the end of his death. He had a great big beard, and he didn't meet anybody that wasn't his friend. And you walked away feeling cooler just from being in his presence. And
Awesome.
He recorded all the bass on Gypsy Lifter's 2014 release, Wizard. And some things happened in Landon's life He had his sperm was frozen. He wanted to have children. When you start doing chemo as a child, they're going to take some and put it up for you because you're not going to be able to produce that later.
Damn.
His sperm was about to expire. He had a girlfriend and they were breaking up. So his possibility of having a child was going away. And the doctor took him off his prescription medications. So Landon took his life, and we were all confused and didn't know why, didn't know what happened.
Right.
It was cleared up on the Joe Rogan podcast when Shooter Jennings was on, and they were talking about prescription medications and when doctors take them away suddenly. And then we all found out that the doctors yanked Landon's prescriptions, and that was all he could take. You know, he kind of separated from reality and took his life. And now I'm playing with Gypsy Lifter for maybe the second time, really. And I just left our Gypsy Lifter rehearsal today with Chad, Michael, and Randy. And the way that I play bass, I've talked about Flea and I've talked about Donald Duck Dunn.
Aggressive style bass, yeah.
Yes. When I have filled in for Gypsy Lifter, I've taken that Wizard album and I've learned it note for note in the past, and it has dramatically influenced the way I play the bass guitar. So we're gonna record some Gypsy Lifter songs, and you're gonna hear Matthew Smith, influenced by Landon Miller, playing Gypsy Lifter songs again. You know, this will be the third release, and I'm getting my crack at it as a fan and as a friend, and it means the absolute world to me.
We just had a
sick,
band
man.
on in here. Their album was actually right there, and we got their vinyl back here, The Strangers.
Right on.
And they're young cats, all about 21 now, and their drummer they lost during the pandemic due to an overdose. But they got a new drummer that's this musically talented, like the kid can do any.
Yeah.
He's like a crazy. It's like the Mozart of drummers.
You might call him a savant. He's very, very clean. He's very technical. I've seen multiple clips of him playing the drums. I know very, very...
And well-versed. But he had to learn all the other drummers' parts for that album.
Yeah.
And then now they're doing a new album.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see how Thielen adds his own little
Thielen's
funk to
right
it.
on.
Yeah. Dude, they're a cool group, man. I highly suggest you check them out.
I will definitely check
They have a
them
very
out.
vintage... Actually, I'll play you some before we leave today.
Sweet.
But
So at what point do you get involved in the Cameron Tabor Band?
Okay. All right. So Solstice is as we our biggest show we performed for the Landon Miller benefit for his death, and we never booked anything afterwards, and that was mostly because my wife at the time, who's now a member of the Purse Dive Divas, and they're actually just killing it in Western Kentucky. It's a super group.
Nice,
Every
dude.
single one of them could front their own band, and they all play together so well. So, you know, good things just keep coming out of
dude.
Western Kentucky. Purse Dive Divas, check them out. Every one of them's hot and can sing and can play. It's great. And after that benefit for Landon's death was it turned into a legendary event in Madisonville in Western Kentucky. The Cold Stairs closed it. Chris Tapp closed the event.
Those guys are fucking sick, by the way.
Yeah, you know, when you've got talent, that something that people don't realize, especially if you're just getting into music or if you're a fan, is that the music world is extremely small over the entire globe, but especially in America.
People that are actually piecing together these orchestra pieces, because that's what they are. I mean, it's art. When you're piecing together these intricate pieces of art, there's very few and far between people that can really do that and do it well.
Yeah.
And I agree, I'm just adding on to your point, like, yeah, to be able to do that and then to record it and then to be able to perform it, and it's like, yeah, it has to be a small group. It has to be.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Everybody's got to share the same direction, the same vision.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's no room for any egos, really. You know, Bacon Bits is a guy on Instagram that...
That's a fucking hell of a name, dude.
It is, boy. He smokes a good cigar. He's got long hair. He looks like he just rolled out of bed, and he's like, I'm getting ready to drop some industry knowledge on you. And he does. It's all just relevant as shit. Like Just Brandon that you guys had on, I think it was episode 115.
I love Brandon Gabriel, dude. He's a damn stud.
That was a great episode.
Just Brandon. He's such a good dude, man. And he's coming out with some new country shit, and I'm fucking pumped for it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm fucking pumped for it.
Absolutely. But he was talking about things that Bacon Bits talks about, you know, about posting every day and how to brand yourself correctly. But I just lost my train of thought again.
From Solstice to the Tabor Band.
Thank you. So we play the benefit for Landon, and then my wife and I, we divorce. And so I marry again. All right. And this girl is everything that I ever dreamed of. I mean, she's short and blonde and hot and rides a motorcycle. And
Oh shit!
yeah,
dude.
our first date.
She got a V twin. What's up?
Well, I bought her a Buell Blast. It was 500.
Okay, little
it
little
had
baby
a-
scooter.
Yeah, had a
Okay.
Vance and Hines pipe on it. It sounded like a giant 4-wheeler.
Nice.
And she was frustrated because it only run 90. We rode it. We rode it to Chattanooga. She got to see the mountains appear
Beautiful
on the
town.
horizon.
Yeah, dude.
Off her
Shout out to
bike.
Chattanooga. I love that fucking spot.
Yeah, I was on a yellow 92 750 Nighthawk, and she was on that Buell Blast, and we just camped where we got tired. We would crash a campsite and just roll out sleeping bags on like playground equipment and wake up in the morning and get on our bikes and ride.
Nighthawk is Harley Davidson, correct?
Nighthawk was a Honda.
What am I thinking of? I'm
The
thinking of the
Softails,
Nightster.
right?
I'm thinking of the Nightster.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
Nightster is a bad bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Nightster's
they
sick.
are.
The Nighthawk, I'm not familiar with. But anyways,
it's like the sport model of the CB 750.
Oh, okay, sick.
It had a sport
Okay.
fairing and body cladding and stuff, and both of them were yellow.
but yeah, this woman, she's a hottie.
She was super hot. Our first date, I picked her up from a halfway house and helped her move into an apartment. Most folks would pick up that as a red flag, maybe.
Or a good time.
Yeah, or a good time. And we definitely had our share of great times. And that relationship ended rather dramatically. And I was just beside myself because at the time I was very religious. And the only thing keeping me in music for this whole time while I was working was playing bass at the praise band in Hanson.
Nice.
And I learned some funky bass lines. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
In the church,
Yes.
they slap, dude. They slap hard.
A lot of it was real, just middle of the road stuff. But I would find these versions where I could really pick out a bass line and make that shit work.
where you could just freak the fuck out on it.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. For sure. I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying.
So, in that way, I mean, there's been a lot of divine things. I'm fairly anti-religion, but the universe is flowing through me and you every day.
Oh, 100%.
And I'll try to stay in that flow. And there's markers when you're not in it, and recognizing them that's a whole other thing. But so I'd been playing bass at church. Solstice was ended. I'd married this girl, and it blew up, and it blew up in a huge way. And she I really don't think this is much fault of her own. There's been a ton of sexual trauma, some drug addiction in the past, and when you go through that, it makes it really hard to trust people. And there can be triggers where you're afraid, and fear is the most overwhelming emotion you can experience, greater than love, greater than anger, greater than sex.
It'll make you do some crazy fucking shit.
It
dude.
will. Like if suddenly a bear just came through this door, we would all act a certain way. And there's an emotional cue that is equivalent to my life is in danger and I must take action or I'm going to die here.
Yeah, I'm gonna choke that bear out. So you guys are safe, just for the record.
Hey man, I'm
gonna
glad
come
you're
over.
here.
I'm gonna come over this table. I'm gonna choke that goddamn bear
Because
out.
fuck bears,
Dude.
like that aren't Winnie or
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. Shout out to Winnie the Pooh.
Shout out.
We did do a Death of the Week just recently where a guy got fucking dismembered by a bear. It was pretty fucking gnarly.
We ate black bear too.
Yeah, I've had black bear. Have you had it?
I have not had bear.
Very delicious. Kind of greasy.
Yeah.
Kind of greasy,
It's
but it's pretty
greasy,
good.
buddy.
But you get so you start the Cameron project.
All right. Well, so the relationship with
I wanted to get to this because Cameron's story is phenomenal.
yeah, all of this is otherworldly, really. The relationship ends, and she is pursuing me. She tried to put me in prison,
Sick.
and we went out on her birthday, and she's picking fights, and I just go to the car after dinner. We're driving home, and she starts beating me.
Damn, I've been there before.
Well,
I got clacked once by a chick.
She's driving the car and hit me with her right hand.
Damn.
And I reached my foot over. I'm going to try and get on the brake pedal and bring this car to a stop. And,
Yeah.
And she wails me and throws my leg back over. And so I put the car in neutral. And if she's not going to blow her car up, she takes her foot off the gas, and we both have the wheel. I've never discussed this publicly. I bring the car to the shoulder where we were fighting over the wheel. And I put the car in park, and I said, "You want to hit me again?" And she goes, "No." And I spit right in her face. And she hits me again a whole lot. And
you were asking for it.
I was at that point.
You're not playing nice.
Yeah. And
which why shouldn't you? But yeah, you're not playing nice.
I get out of the car and she leaves me. She leaves me at mile marker 129 on the Pennyroyal Parkway up here. And I call my dad, and my dad comes to get me. There's my dad and I have had this tumultuous relationship, but he has never dropped me when I needed him ever. And I called him, and he showed up, and we're driving back to the house, and we get there, and she's getting her stuff out, and the cops are there, and she thinks they're going to arrest me, but they don't.
Damn.
So the next day, she gets up and goes to Webster County and shows them her arms. Well, that day that we went to dinner, that all this happened, she'd had an iron transfusion. That makes you bruise.
Right.
She shows them all these bruises on her arms at Western Kentucky, at Webster County. That's all they needed. They came and arrested me a week later. I just come back with with my son. We'd gone to see the All-American Rejects in Nashville.
Those dudes crush.
It was a great show. I've been asleep for 2 hours, and I'd been sleeping in my closet with the door barred because shit was going on in this divorce, and I was afraid somebody was going to come in there and kill my ass. The deputy had come and taken my guns. I had no way to defend myself. I had a pickaxe and a twin-size mattress in the closet in my room, and the officers knock on the window of my closet. My closet got a window on either side. They're like, "Mr. Smith, you need to come with us." It's like, fuck. All right. So I said, "Can I take my contacts out?" They're like, "Yeah." And so I do, and I get in the car, and the officer just put me in the car. He goes, "Mr. Smith, your hair is so soft." I said, "Thanks, baby. I just came from the salon."
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
like, thanks for the fucking beauty tip, dude.
Well,
but am I going to jail?
I mean, when you're a 40-year-old white man getting arrested, you get Class A treatment.
They're going to give you a compliment and a cot.
Yeah, exactly.
3 hots and a cot, and if you're white, you get a compliment.
Yeah,
and maybe a blanket.
3 lukewarms of what the fuck is that?
No shit, man. I did for a little bit, dude. Been there. It sucks.
Yeah.
But so that means so when do you meet Cameron?
So I get out of all that, and I get a 2-year diversion for felony wanton endangerment.
Right.
And I'm still just emotionally destroyed.
You're a hot fucking mess at this point,
dude. And when I was in the jail, I was telling everything that just happened. And this guy is probably like 6'4". He's all tattered up, and he looks
jacked.
Yes. And he goes, "Man, you still love her, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." Like even through all that, I was like, "That's my girl." And it took me a long time to let that go. But I got the diversion. I was so ecstatic to be free. And I got the divorce, and I was sitting at home, and I was on Facebook, and I was lonely, and I don't deal well with loneliness, man. It triggers a lot of anxiety, and I saw Cameron on a Facebook Live at the Crowded House in Madisonville.
Yeah.
And he was with this blonde-headed kid that I didn't know, and I was like, I'm going down there. I'm taking a chance. I'm going down there. And I walked up, and they were on break. Now, Cameron, I've known him his whole life, basically. I've known him since he was a small child. My first 2 kids are with his aunt.
Oh, okay.
Very small world down there.
Yeah.
And he sees me coming. He was like, "What's up, Matt?" And I'm like, "I'm doing good." And he's with all his friends. Now, at this time, I'm like maybe 39 or 40, and he's maybe 26, 27. So there's a big age difference between me and all these people that are hanging around.
Yeah, like who the Black Crows are. He probably doesn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no,
I'm like, "What's up, Biz Marquee?" They're like, "Yo, Gabba Gabba." So
he's like fucking YOLO. And you're like, what the fuck does that even mean? Right. But yeah, I get it.
So I go in, order a beer, and
Gabba.
That's right, baby.
Yeah. So you go get a beer.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there waiting for them to come back, and they come on, and this kid's with him, and he's blonde headed and athletic. He's a little bit shorter than Cameron. And man, they're just having the greatest time on the stage.
Yeah, just a hoedown.
Yeah, they're laughing and cutting up and telling little stories and playing songs. And I didn't know, but they'd never played together before. Cameron had been in Songwriters and Suds. It's just a little thing that Crowded House does where they bring songwriters in. They'll do feature 3 or 4 songwriters overnight.
Sick. And
Grant had been down there playing guitar with somebody, and Grant was walking through the parking lot while Cameron was smoking a J. And Cameron was like, "Hey, do you want to hit this?" And Grant was like, "Nah, but what's up? What's up?" And so they started talking like that in the parking lot, and they decided they'd go play this show together. Well, I came down there and saw it happening, and I saw these guys. And what was going on was so infectious. It was so natural. These dudes are just having a great time together with the audience. Audience is laughing, singing along, clapping. And I'm like, man, this has got everything it needs to be a national touring act. I got these 2 young dudes that are good looking. They've got great charisma and good songs. I could play bass for this. This thing could take off. But,
and there's no drummer at this point, correct?
No
just
drummer.
2 dudes on 2 lead guitars.
2 acoustic guitars, just hanging out. And the Crowded House ends early, and the bar across the street stays late. That's how that dynamic works in our town.
Right.
There's a couple of places you can get a drink, but these are right across from each other. And
you leave there and you go here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
the owners are probably like tip to tip.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do work together. They'll shut the street down
just
occasionally.
like the 3 gas stations in Madisonville. They all work together.
100%.
Boy, do they ever.
Dude, those sons of bitches.
Freddy's in Madisonville, the burger place. So good.
Farrell's,
yes. Yeah, Farrell's. I need to start with an F.
Yeah.
And Brothers Barbecue.
I've not been to Farrell's. Is it like
you got to have a Farrell's burger?
Is it like feral cat? Like feral animal?
It's like
there's another R in there.
Oh, FERRAL.
Yeah,
it's like if GD Ritzy's never got big.
I just insulted somebody's last name.
Nah,
so
you're good.
I'm really sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Farrell.
Mr. Farrell. They've been through it.
Nice, man. We've all been through it.
Farrell's Burgers, though. But if you're ever going to Madisonville, stop in.
Dude, shout out. Your fucking boner is showing.
Yeah.
Your feral boner.
You know, we're talking about that. They need to make underwear that's longer for skinny guys, like when you get hard and your dick hangs out the bottom of your underwear.
Yeah, that shit's annoying.
Yeah.
I get you. Like a dick pocket.
Or just extended underwear, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Or something.
Like a Burple canister from the 90s. They don't.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
Then you have to cram it back in there.
Like a telescopic dick underwear type situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what they need, dude. We're Days Grimm featuring our fucking on our merch store telescopic dick underwear coming next month. Dude, so you head across the street to go get a drink. And they go, I'm assuming as well.
They're over there, everybody's hanging out, and you go out on the sidewalk really to get away from the loud music inside, and so you can have a conversation. And the owner was David Wood. People call him Shay. He came out there and he's like, "Man, I play the drums, and I just heard what y'all did over there. And Matt plays the bass. We ought to get something together." And we were like, and I didn't let on that, I've already planned this shit out in my head.
Right. You're like, dude, we're getting an Oscar.
You're like, I'm on a 3rd album already. What do you do?
And I was like, maybe we'll see what happens. And,
I slapped the bass, whatever. You're fucking being chill. Isn't it weird? Can I mention this real quick? Just in this part of the story, I find it very strange when I meet a very young musician who's very, very talented.
Yeah.
And you have more talent than I do, clearly. I can play guitar, though, and I do enjoy music a great deal. But it is odd when I meet a group like The Strangers, or say I met the other members of your band. It would be weird for me. I feel like it's weird being 33 years old, but then looking at a group of 19-year-olds that are just fucking snapping dicks off sideways with all the energy in the world, and they're fucking good,
like
too.
Dr. Rendezvous.
Exactly. And then I'm a fan of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like promoting them literally on this podcast. We've talked about the Strangers like 3 times already, and we promote them, and I'm a huge fanboy of them. But I also feel like this is fucking weird that I'm 33 years old and I'm like fucking pumping up these 19-year-old boys. And it's like,
you know,
am I Michael Jackson? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
he is Catholic.
Well,
who am I?
So
who am I, dude?
So the production of art
was it weird for you though?
Totally.
Where
you
you're
know,
like, hey,
and,
I know you're
and,
22, but you know,
right?
Come on over to Daddy's house. I'll play some bass for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that remark has been made. Like I had a friend of mine. His wife was like, "Why is that old man over there playing with them boys?" You know,
that's what I'm saying, dude. It's fucking. You feel kind of fucking. So I'm not alone in that thought.
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Not at all. But I mean, music is the great connector of all things. You know,
truly is.
There's no Democrats or Republicans at a Skinner concert. There are none. There's just Skinner fans, and it doesn't matter if you're old, young,
black, yellow.
Yeah, it does
Asian.
not matter.
I think yellow is Asian.
Either one of those things.
Oh, you like to use the term often.
Yeah, I love that you
you're
threw
such
that
a
in there.
douche.
He believes it.
It gets bleeped. We actually edit a lot of stuff out of this show, so you'll listen to this later and you'll be like, "Damn, they took out a lot of shit."
Well,
so
let's do what we got to do to
we'll
not
keep
be
it
sued.
safe.
You
Yeah,
know?
we keep it safe.
Right.
It ages better that way.
So you guys formed this band. Is the music video that Champagne and Whiskey, is that like your first song that you guys do?
Actually, that's the very last song that we put out and the last video that we put out. So Cameron had been playing guitar in his garage for a long time, and he was married to a woman named Lacey. Mm-hmm. And when the bar would shut down, all the young people would go to his garage, and they'd hang out till 3 or 4 in the morning, drink,
They're
play
jamming.
guitar, and sing. And I've been in that garage when there was 40 people singing together, and that's really where grassroots shit starts to happen.
Oh yeah,
You know, because people are invested because they were there.
Right.
When there was no band. They were there when it was just good times.
I sat on his fucking John Deere lawnmower and listened to him play Champagne and Whiskey.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's
Exactly.
a attachment there.
Well, that's one thing I
Right.
want to say too about the Champagne and Whiskey music videos. It's like the whole town came together to almost piece together this
Pretty
video.
neat,
Well,
man. It's pretty
we had
neat.
people come from 3 different states, you know, because at that point we had momentum. At that point, Shannon and I got divorced, and we played a couple of shows, and the city approached us for playing Friday Night Live, and we got to open for Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh yeah,
You know?
fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, our producer came from Nashville, and he played that show with us. Nathan McFarland, it's Dr. McFarland Studios. He's a mastering savant. I mean, savant. So, and he's accessible to you. He's got a YouTube channel with tons of videos, thousands of views, and he gets real technical, but he's also breaking apart songs. And he's an accomplished guitarist himself. He was a guitarist in Feedback Revival. He's played in Grease. He's a badass. And so we got to have him on stage. But the way we got from standing in the street in front of these bars to that point, it's all been divine. It's all been the flow of the universe and staying in it. You know, and when we're not in it, we don't do anything. Like right now, the band is basically disbanded, you know, and everybody's working on their own things, and that's going to bring a lot more fruit to the public, you know, from what's going on in everybody's individual lives. But without a high, there's never been a high without a low, and there's never been a low without a high, and it makes it so much easier to get through these lows, knowing that once I get through this, man, something amazing is going to happen.
Do you think so? How long do these lulls usually last? Whenever you guys take these hiatuses, if you will, of separation.
The longest time was a year.
But the band is still a band. It's not like disbanded.
Cameron and I are the primary songwriters, but everybody that's recorded anything, I consider them contributing to that song. And we've had a policy in the past where if you left the band, you kind of just abandon your rights to that music. And now that we're defunct at the moment, I'm going to go back and reassign rights to everybody that's recorded any of this music, that they can receive royalties for any of it, no matter how it's used.
Okay.
Commercial, movie, what have you. Because when you're writing a song and you've got people in the room, their mere presence can influence how that song develops. I believe the song is there. The song is in the ether, in the universe, whatever. And we get to channel that for a minute. Grant Carter He was the lead guitarist for the Cameron Tabor Band most of the time. And he would just suggest a break or a key change or this particular chord here and there. And it would totally change the direction of the song. So even if he never contributed a lyric to it, he influenced the way that song went. And there's one song that I'm going to release from the Cameron Tabor Band that while we're in this defunct status called Far Enough. And Cameron and I wrote it. Colton Paris, Cameron's brother, he had the first verse. Wake up and I get dressed in the morning on the gas I press, something like that. And he had that verse. And he gave it to us in the garage, in Cameron's garage. And Cameron and I just started in. Now, Lacey's dad was in there drinking Busch Light, making a fucking nuisance of himself.
Fuck yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. And I'd come up with a line. Cameron would come up with a line, and this guy would go, "Come on, boy, now sell it. Don't give me no weak shit. Don't give me no weak shit." And it was pissing me off so bad.
Yeah, like fuck that dude up.
The line was coming to me, and he'd be like, blah, 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 in my face, and I'd cover my ears.
Blah, blah, NASCAR.
Yeah.
Turn left.
God. I'd get up and run out of there with my hands over my ears, trying to maintain the lyrical momentum that was happening in my head.
Yeah, because it's a process.
It is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the song was better or worse because he was in there being a dick. But it came out, and it's the hardest song that the CTB ever laid down. Eric Easy Brown played drums on it. Grant Carter played guitar on it.
And this is Far and Away?
Far Enough.
Oh, or Far Enough.
Yeah, and it's the most technical bass line that I've ever laid down for anybody. And when I went into record, like, my nerves get to me. And I'm prescribed Klonopin. And
Forgotapins.
100% Forgotapins. 100%.
Yeah. So I forgot to eat that day. It was a disaster on that part. But I wasn't feeling my nerves at all, and went in there and did this bass line. And then weeks and weeks go by before you get a master version. And I got it back, and I heard the bass line. And I called Nathan, and I said, "Hey, did you record the bass on that? Did I mess it up so bad that you had to fix it?" And he goes, "No, baby, that's all you." And it turns out it's my best work as a bass guitarist.
So in some of these bands, like that music video for Champagne and Whiskey, you play multiple roles other than just the bass player.
Yes.
What else are you doing on these, like, for the music videos?
Well, that one was the most involved. Now, I did all the storyboarding,
which is a ton of work. I'm working on a storyboard now for a short film.
It is, and I didn't even know what it was. And Riley Smith, he films and directs these things. I didn't know what storyboarding was, and I was trying to convey to him what I wanted, and I couldn't get it. He's like, "Dude, you're gonna have to draw me some pictures. Like, make this 3-dimensional as you possibly can.
Give me some stick figures."
Yes.
Put some name tags on their heads, like
pretty much. Yeah.
This is Cameron in the truck.
So basically, with these bands, you play more than just bass. You do a lot more behind the scenes.
Yeah. Totally. What else do you do? Like, especially with more specifically Champagne and Whiskey, we were talking about. We've got it actually pulled up at the moment.
Right. Like,
what other roles did you play?
Champagne and Whiskey. The point of this video was to, like, symbolize the entire existence in the world in this bar. Say you're presented with good choices, bad choices. That girl, Ava Duvall, gorgeous young lady, Benji Duvall's daughter that was in Tumult, killer drummer. She's an amazing talent in her own right. She was supposed to be. Can I say that
she's a hottie?
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
You say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
Hottie.
But I'd like in the background, you got a diverse crowd.
You said divorce.
Yeah, everybody in the crowd's divorced. And
yeah,
everyone's really sad.
But basically, he had the opportunity to hit on this girl at the bar, and another girl comes down from upstairs.
Right. And she's supposed to represent all the goodness in the world. We had some wardrobe problems that she wasn't dressed all in
Pulled
white.
the titty out? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking like Super Bowl halftime show.
No, those problems didn't happen until afterwards in the parking lot. But
that's unfortunate. But here nor there, that's somebody's daughter, dude. Okay, so
They're all someone's daughter, Ryan.
Yeah, we're all reverting.
That's an Islamic titty.
Exactly, dude. That's a Islam titty. That's the titty of Islam. So so what other roles did you play in this?
Well,
What else did you do other than just obviously fucking shred on the fucking bass on camera?
when this video starts, Cameron passes me.
Your sick fucking dreads here.
Yeah.
The braids with the beads.
They're braids and they're not dreads. I'm sorry.
Right.
Those are tight, though.
I've wanted braids for a long time, but recently the behavior of white males with braids has made me want to punch them all in the face. So I don't think I can have dreads anymore.
Where you at on man buns, dude?
It's functional.
It's
whatever.
functional. So I have a friend of mine who sends me
Let's not get off the topic here with this man bun conversation.
Okay, no, absolutely. So
All right.
sorry. We're getting derailed here.
Yeah.
But what else do you do as far as...
Oh, just in this video, I'm just like a vagrant. He passes me while he's driving his truck into town, and it's one of the Easter eggs. I'm just in ratty clothes walking down the gravel road, and he blows by me.
That was you in the red shirt. Okay.
Yes,
Nice.
exactly,
Nice.
exactly. But the characters that have more duality would be Sidney Lavelle. He's our Indian. We see him. He's the first person that Cameron talks to when he rolls into town.
And his name is what again?
Sidney Lavelle.
Lavelle. Okay.
Yeah, he's like a new spiritualist. He's really on his own spiritual path, and he's also a bodybuilder and athlete, and he's
Much like myself. So
yeah. You guys
Clearly.
have a lot of common.
clearly.
Sydney's one of my best friends on this planet, and he's playing a farmhand, but as you see him through the video, he's evolving. And he's the very last thing you see in this video besides Cameron.
when it says far enough.
Exactly.
That's right. I'm so sorry I said far and away earlier too.
That's all right.
I like spazzed out in my brain. I do
That's
that
like
often.
part 2 to this video.
right.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, and I would like for part 2 to still happen, even in this period of hiatus from the band, because there's a strong message with Far Enough, and getting back at like to socialism and Eugene V. Debs and the greater the good for everybody. A lot of us are under the thumb, of corporate anything America, and
dude.
where it's a daily existence of just trying to get by. Paycheck to paycheck isn't even an accurate description. So that's what that song is about. Is about trying your absolute best to hang in to the middle class and provide for your family, and knowing that you're failing a little bit every single day.
Yeah, you're not meeting the mark every day. Just maybe by more this day or less by this day, but you're not measuring up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
No,
the story
that
for
is a strong
Champagne and
message.
Whiskey just came off of a story you guys heard from a mutual friend.
It was Grant Carter.
Who the hell is that?
That was the lead guitarist in the band. Now, he's not in this video. He'd left the band before we shot this video.
Did we already talk about him?
Grant was one of the guys that was with Cameron playing at the Crowded House.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Grant Carter.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we
okay.
started this band with Alex Sarles, Grant Carter, Cameron Tabor, and myself.
Yeah.
And Grant, he bullshitted his way into this lead guitar position. And it wasn't until after we'd opened for Grant Funk Railroad, which we opened our show with "I Know a Little" by Leonard Skinner, crazy guitar licks and timing, and shuffle drum beat. And
Skinner shreds, by the way.
yes, they
Rest
are.
in peace, dude.
It's maybe the second or third best rock band of all time.
It's there for me. Yeah.
Only to follow the Allman Brothers. They are the commercial version of what the Allman Brothers are doing, and musically, I don't know that anybody's touched what the Allman Brothers have done. And I throw Muse in that category. I don't know that they have made compositions as deep as the Allman Brothers do.
Their collection's just not as vast.
Yeah,
I don't think Muse
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Compared to Allman Brothers, but yeah, certainly on the same playing field. Dude, so you essentially helped produce this video for Champagne and Whiskey.
I
That's kinda
did
what
all
we're
the
getting at.
casting. That took several weeks, and from my experience with jumping in, I learned that I needed to be 3 deep with all major roles. And so everybody that's in the audience, so to speak, in Champagne and Whiskey could have played main roles. Our cast was that strong. Jessica Sims is in there. She's a model and a comedian. Callie's in there from Leisure Pursuit. And from her experience working with us on that show, she decided to go out on her own and become her own act. The whole band of Glass Tones in there.
Nice.
So everybody, the bartender is JT Oglesby. He's a nationally ranked thumb picker. He's played with everybody. He was on some of Chris Knight's albums. He's got the craziest stories about him and Chris Knight going to Nashville and getting whooped or whooping somebody. Like, JT's a fucking trip. And he's played with Gypsy Lifters members, Chad Estes and all them. But yeah, those clips right there, the guy in the business suit's my son. There's JT.
Yeah, JT. That's what I was trying to find, JT.
Yeah. He's an incredibly deep musician and a great human being. We've had
wild, man. Look at Homeboy in the back with the cowboy hat. He's getting wild.
That dude showed up from the bar next door. There's one functioning bar in that town, and it just showed up and had a great time. And we played a reunion show. It's called Landon's now. It was Nate's, and we got the word out. That dude right there, he came to the reunion show, man.
Wiling out.
Yeah, it's these little occurrences along your journey that make it so spicy, you know, like it.
So do you find yourself with your own production or your own music or whatever it may be, whether it be a music video or a song or whatever, because I'm sure you can relate to what I'm about to say. So, like, exactly what we're doing right now, we're analyzing this guy in this fucking background. Where most people would just be like, oh, that's just a funny guy in the background or whatever. They might not even see that guy.
Yeah.
But to me, because I'm so, like, indulged in music and multimedia and just in, art in general, like, I notice these small things, and it almost kind of, like, adds to it.
Yes.
Do you find yourself... Surely you do that with other artists, clearly, because we're like-minded. But, like, do you find yourself doing that with your own music? Like,
Definitely.
Wow, I didn't hear the way that you did that little triple hammer-on in the middle of this breakdown, and I'm just now hearing it, and now it's like, this song means more to me. Does that ever happen to you?
It absolutely does. When I go back and listen to my own recordings from 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I was, quote-unquote, inactive with bands, I'll hear things that I don't remember doing. I'll hear things that I want to embellish more and bring to the front.
Yeah.
I also hear things that I think, oh my God, that's the worst shit I ever heard in my life. But it
goes to both ways.
Yeah, but I can take what I don't like and keep on polishing until it's where it needs to be. I wrote this song called "Wrong Side of the Tracks" right after I came back
about the guy that got pinched between the rail cars. No, is it not about
That's
him?
a different song called Mo's Thumb, and yeah.
Yo, fucking shout out to Mo and his fucking half thumb, dude.
Yeah,
his thumb's on the back of a milk jug.
We fucking respect you, Mo. That's a fucking certain kind of man right there.
Absolutely. I bet he's still out there.
So outside of music, do you think you have any other creative endeavors? Like after this music video, I mean, you learned more about like video creation. I mean,
I would do it as a service. I don't know how many hours I've got in this thing because it's the full gamut. Riley Smith, he showed up and shot it. Now, he did have to review all the notes that I gave him.
Who's Riley Smith?
Riley Smith is the director of this video.
You've said a lot of names, so I'm just trying to keep up with all of them. Have we already spoken about Riley Smith?
Not in depth, really.
Okay. So who is Riley Smith again?
Riley Smith, he's actually my cousin.
Okay.
And he went to college for film. And he's been doing music videos ever since. Now, Riley, he's working for Lock and Key Productions right now. It's just closely associated with Live Nation, and he's going to work the Railbird this year.
Nice, dude.
Yes, and he's got some major shit going on. He is the primary, I think maybe the sole video director and cinematographer for Connor Kelly and the Time Warp.
Wow.
It's an amazing band. He's been all over the country with these guys, and every one of their videos are so deep and beautiful. I encourage the listener to look up Connor Kelly and the Time Warp. Go to RileySmith.tv, and you can check out what he's featuring on his website. D. Smith, Time Back is something that he just let go. And he's also doing Jake Let's Go. It's Saturday Nick Let's Go. And it's like a comedy show that features a lot of musicians. They're
I'm a big comedy guy. I love comedy.
You'll dig this stuff.
Dude, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's got that.
And the name of the website again, where can they go to?
RileySmith.tv.
RileySmith.tv.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that vibe, man. But I forget why we brought up Connor Kelly and the Time Warp.
Well, what else? What other notes do you have that you want to let people know about real fast?
Well, just this whole journey has been divine. Every bit of it, from the way my wife and I ended and the way I recovered, and she wishes me well and I wish her well for sure.
That's important. Yeah, that is very important.
She's a beautiful soul, man, and I just wish the best for her. But I met our producer, Nathan McFarland, through a Facebook ad. There was a Dan Electro 12-string on there, and I said, well, that's a pretty guitar. You got any audio of it? And he sent me this recording that was like 16 layers deep, and I was like, what are you? What are you doing? You know? And
so that was the first time you met an alien?
Pretty much.
Nice.
Like, he functions on that level.
Fucking nice, dude.
Nathan McFarland, and he is a technical savant, and he is internationally known for technical support for headrush units on YouTube, and he's breaking songs apart now. Like, you can learn so much from Nathan McFarland, and he's the kind of producer. Like, if I got picked up, if Cameron Tabor Band got picked up, or if I did, and the deal, there would be no deal if Nathan was not my producer, because he does not take away from an artist's vision. He understands it, and he helps you along your journey.
That's awesome.
Yes.
It's important that you do treat it like a journey, because it is. It's a story that you're telling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you age, you get older, you tell different stories, and we're all on a journey. That's important.
Totally, we all are.
And God, what's his name again?
Nathan McFarland, Dr. McFarland Studios.
Oh yeah. I read that in your message.
Yeah, so people that need mastering, say, all right, you're in Evansville, Owensboro, Indianapolis, wherever, and you've got a killer track, you want it mastered right, you send it to Nathan McFarland, and he's going to get you right.
And you met him off a fucking Facebook ad, dude.
Yeah, I met him off a Facebook ad.
What the fuck?
From 12-stringer.
And was that like on like Facebook Marketplace?
It was.
Basically.
It was.
It's so fucking crazy, and he sends you this fucking Bach piece.
Yeah,
you know
pretty
what I mean?
much.
That's fucking intense.
Well, and what was that song you sent me a reference to where you did the bass for?
I sent you a couple. Regression.
Yeah, Regression was the one.
Regression is with Justin Moore, and he's playing with Darkwater now.
Like the country musician, Justin Moore?
Justin Moore, he's...
well, Darkwater, we just heard about them too.
Exactly. Darkwater's an Evansville band, and they've had a couple of different singers.
Okay.
But they just went to Bloomington and recorded maybe 2 weeks ago, and I think Justin's doing bass for them right now. But he's a musical genius. I've been so fortunate to have all these friends with this immense talent, and my gift really is getting them all in one place. You know,
you seem like an organizer. I
am.
I wanted to mention that,
and very well spoken with your writing and everything.
Thank you.
I did want to mention
that.
Like, if music does not work out for you, sir, you may be a fucking author.
Thank you.
The way you described the story of how you met Cameron, when I read it through and through the entire, I mean, it was like paragraphs, but it was like a short story that I like bought into. It's very well written. You're very good with like nouns, pronouns, adjectives.
I am.
And describing the vibe of a room. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I felt like I was in the bar.
Good.
It was intense. It was intense, man. It was. I got very excited when you were explaining the story about how you met the two guys at the show.
Right on.
That's pretty gnarly, dude. So if music doesn't pan out for you, dude, I got a couple of fucking authors and ghostwriters I'll send your way, dude.
Right on.
I swear. Yeah. Do we not?
Yeah, we
do. I swear to God, we got authors, Pulitzer Prize winners, dude. We got people, man.
That's cool.
Dude, so as far as the McFarland cat, man.
Yeah.
So what other folks have like really helped you along the way here?
Okay. Well, Nathan has been a huge help, because every single song we've released 5 singles. And like I said, he understands
all
our
through
direction.
him.
All through him.
All through him. Okay.
Yes. So the Grand Funk Railroad show, Cameron Tabor is on band. You can watch these live videos on YouTube, and you can see that he is drenched in sweat. And it was a hot day that day. Don't get me wrong.
But still, he's just sweaty, dude.
Yeah. He wasn't well. Before the show, we went up to David Wood, his apartment, the guy that was talking about playing drums, and
he was keeping you guys away from the crowd and all the people and stuff.
Exactly.
Because it was a big deal. There were a lot of folks there.
It was a big deal. There were thousands of people downtown, and it was hot, and we needed a place to be, and Cameron was in the bathroom just
bad shape.
Throwing up. And time to play comes. He's like, man, I don't have a string for the
What
strap.
did you say to him? You said, this is your
flu game.
And explain that.
Like Michael Jordan's got this flu game where he had to just overcome all odds to win, despite the fact that he was sick. And it's come out more recently in Jordan Rules that he believes he was poisoned by a pizza delivery guy the night before. And I was like, Cameron, you know, whatever happens, let's get through this show. Just leave it all out there. This is your flu game. And he looked at me and he's like, I got this.
Yeah, and in your message, you said that was hands down the best performance that he had ever put on. Or
Absolutely.
you guys as a group, including Cameron, had ever put on.
Absolutely. Nathan McFarland was with us. Eric Easy Brown was on the drums. He recorded all these songs. And we slayed it. And my mother and my stepdad were there. And we had these giant balloons. And they ran this air pump. And we got these balloons out in the crowd. People were passing the balloons back and forth. And Cameron was so weak that he needed to stay by mic stand. He needed to stay on stage. And me and Grant just ran wild through the crowd. And
Damn.
like we're hitting the balloons off our headstocks of our guitars, laying over people. People are getting selfies. Justin Back was in the crowd. Killer guitarist.
Yeah.
It was a surreal moment. My dad was there. He's since been diagnosed with blood cancer and he's in remission. Like he's still with me, but he got to see that show. And we ended the show and people just swarmed me and Grant, and we'd had this opportunity to go meet all the members of Grand Funk Railroad, and we
That's
couldn't.
so fucking dope.
We couldn't go because people were wanting
Too
our
busy
autographs.
talking.
Yeah, they were honest. We were serving our fans at that time. And we got through signing everything, and we're like, "Where's Cameron?" And he called, and he's like, "I had to immediately go home." And the next day, he went in the hospital, and he was there for 3 weeks.
And they said it was chemical pneumonia.
Chemical pneumonia. And let me just tell you, kids, don't buy no bullshit THC cartridges off the street.
Yep.
It's in vitamin E, and it will fucking kill you. When vitamin E oil burns, it becomes a form of arsenic. And that will sit in your lungs and poison you and poison you and poison you until it is passed, till you get that shit out of your lungs. So Cameron, he played that show literally on death's door, went into the hospital the next day, didn't come out for 3 weeks, was on 5 liters of oxygen every single night. And he's lucky to be alive to this day. And while he was in the hospital, we'd had a recording session scheduled for the next day. Nathan had come up to play that show, and then he was going to record us in my basement. And so Cameron's in the hospital, and we're in there just hammering, just getting our parts down, and calling and checking and worrying, and you know, are we going to have a singer to put any vocals on
to finish these tracks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Easy's just so freaking smooth on the drums. He'd get his stuff in like 2 takes, maybe 3 if he was like, well, I don't like how I hit that one thing.
He was being a little picky.
Yeah. And then Grant and I sat in there with Nathan, and Nathan would be like, what if we did it like this? And Grant would be like, I don't know, what about this? And until you get what you get.
But you had it hammered out.
Yes.
And then Cameron gets out of the hospital.
Right. And it sat there for months. You know, because he was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and then getting everybody's schedule lined out where we could get in there. And he cut some of the vocals in my basement, and then and sent them out. And I think that was "Happy Being Me" and "Little at a Time" was what he cut in my basement. And then we went to Nashville and recorded as a group.
It's very, very much Bob Dylan-esque. With the basement tapes.
Yeah.
That's very Bob Dylan-esque. Are you familiar with the basement tapes?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard the new basement tapes?
I have not.
I'll have to show you after the show.
Right on.
The Strangers and the new basement tapes. I got to show you them both. That being said, so you guys get him on the vocals. He gets in there. He records it. Fucking obviously crushes it because these tracks are solid.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then what leads to the hiatus? What happens in these? Is this the first one? The first time this has ever happened?
No, the first time it ever happened, he was married to Lacey, and Lacey is just a gorgeous little soul. She moved 4'10", blonde-headed, funny, I found a note the other day on the back of old set list that Cameron had said, I drink a couple of beers every day. Lacey saves all hers for the weekend. Yeah, and
That's my wife.
she was just so fun, and we'd go play these shows, and people would be just kind of standoffish, and she'd get out there, her little cute self, and start dancing, and people would just fill the dance floor. Like, she gave them permission to have a good time.
Damn.
And I said this at her funeral, that she made me feel included. You know, it didn't matter that I was older and been divorced 3 times. And, you know, she would come to me and talk with me, and that made it okay for the rest of the crowd to come and talk to me too. And she just had that effect on people. She made them feel welcome. Yeah. And she was super funny. And the first hiatus we took, it was because she didn't really want Cameron to be a rock star.
And he's out here crushing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and beyond all things, Cameron is a solid songwriter. He and I have a lot of literary influences in the way that we write. So jumping in, I'd had the verses for 15 years, and he comes up with, I was Huck Finn with my River Queen taking a trip in her eyes down to New Orleans. It was just genius, and it made the whole song.
And the way that sentence even flows.
Yes,
you throw a comma in there, and it's fucking good as gold.
Yeah. And
fuck me.
So we complement each other so well because we're both intelligent people from a rural area with literary backgrounds that have a sense of melody. But Lacey's idea for life was a lot simpler. She wanted Cameron's a contractor. He's a very skilled carpenter, and she wanted him to work and come home, you know, and have a small life. And she wanted to work and come home. And public life is not for everybody. You know, my Facebook persona and Instagram persona and whatnot, I'm very transparent with what I'm going through in my life. That's not for everybody. You know, some people feel very threatened or encroached upon their privacy, whereas I know what I'm going through. Oh, you've gone through it. You've gone through it to a degree or some kind of way.
Yeah.
And we can all relate. And my purpose here on earth is to minister to everybody, saying we're going to get through this. I've made it through it.
One step at a time.
Exactly.
Yep.
One step at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time when it's excruciating.
Gotta get through it.
All you guys that are listening, if you're going through something right now, just keep going through it.
So was it them splitting that led to this?
Yeah. Now, through conversations I had with Cameron, I learned that Lacey never dealt very well with intrusive thoughts. And I don't think that I'm giving up too much of the family's privacy when I talk about this. Now, an intrusive thought is, if you're not familiar with it, listener, it's anything that you can't really escape from in your mind. And that may be something that you did 10 years ago. Well, man, I really said something awful to this person and I regret it. And it comes back to you and comes back to you. Or it could be something that somebody said to you. In Lacey's instance, someone made fun of her the way she put her makeup on when she was in the 4th grade. And she was never able to get that out of her mind.
That'll burn you down.
It will.
Yep.
And I wish that I could share with Lacey some of what I know now of how to deal with intrusive thoughts. Because, look, guys, we're not going to make it through this life without experiencing trauma. Every single one of us is going to experience it. And we've got to start teaching young people from an early age, trauma is going to happen, and this is how you recover from it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, I'm done. You know, the stages of grief or recovering from trauma, they don't come sequentially. You will feel them all at different times in your life. And you need
if not the rest of your life.
If
it's
not,
a constant battle.
Sure. And in recovering from trauma, it's helpful to relate to it like a math problem. If you have a frog on a log and you ask him to jump half the distance of the log and then jump another half of the distance of the log, when does he fall off the log? Motherfucker ain't ever fallen off the log because you can always go half.
Yeah, exactly.
So in your recovery from trauma, there will never be a day that comes where it didn't happen. But there'll be a day that you handle it very, very well because you're making these big steps forward, big steps forward.
At first.
Yes, and working on it.
And then smaller and smaller and smaller.
Exactly. And you will go through your life unencumbered by what has happened to you, but it is a long process.
You got to keep taking those small steps.
Exactly. You work on it daily until you're comfortable in your daily life, comfortable with your social experiences, and then you continue.
If I may ask, how long did that first hiatus last?
First hiatus was a year.
One whole year.
Whole year.
And then the second one happens just recently. This one now. And it's been how long?
Oh, man, I haven't heard from Cameron since probably November, maybe October of last year, so 2022. He called me and he said, I was getting on a plane to go to Atlanta. And he said, I just woke up. And I was like, dude, it's 11 o'clock. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, man, I just woke up. Like, and in those moments, he was realizing everything that's happened since Lacey's death. And I haven't heard from him since. So I know that he has.
Yeah. And I don't want to dig into that.
I was going to say, has there ever been a moment along this musical journey where you thought about throwing in the towel? Like where you're just like, I'm done with music? Or
you
I'm
personally. Not the band, but you personally.
Me personally, I because I've had these long separations from it when I've been working 2 jobs or a big job where I'm on the railroad or I'm working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for months in a factory. It's always been the only thing that I've had to look forward to personally, because the satisfaction that comes walking off that stage, leaving everybody cheering at the rail.
Pockets empty. You've dumped everything out there.
Yeah. You can't get close to that knowing that you just pulled that grain train in faster time than anybody else, or you took 3 steps out of the value stream for a $1 million aircraft engine part.
There's some fucking, there's a sour note there.
Yeah.
So you would say music pulled you through the dark times that
it
so
absolutely
you really just keep
does.
coming back to it.
You know, bringing people together and creating the means to do so is why I'm here. And when I was young, I thought it was music ministry. Well, I was raised by my grandmother and my mom in that household where there's no secular music, and I felt very called to be a music minister. Anytime I'm on that stage, I'm a music minister. We're not talking about Jesus.
Doesn't matter what you're singing about.
It does not. Yeah. All that matters is that
you got that feel good in your soul.
You got it right there.
Passing the emotion through. Mm-hmm. This is where I was at when I wrote this. A lot like what we talked about earlier with David Allen Coe.
Yeah. Any advice you would give to somebody that's wanting to get into music?
Yes. It's develop every single idea. It doesn't matter if your best friends listen to it and they go, "Oh, dude, that's garbage."
You need those people, though.
You do.
Yeah.
They're critical for a reason. They want you to make your best stuff. I've got a very emotional song called Footnote. It's something I wrote dealing with a recent breakup with a girl with a tremendous talent. She's got the best voice I ever heard in my life, hands down, all singers everywhere. And I've played it for several people, and they've cried. And they've told me, you got to get this out. I played it for my best friends, and they're like, you need to get somebody else to sing it. You know, and
yeah,
and they're not wrong right now, but I'll get the shit right. And part of that comes back to bass player, manager, producer aside. You know, I've come to realize that I can do this myself, and anybody that's listening, you can do it yourself. There's room at the top. There is a wide enough audience. There's enough people out there that know exactly what you're talking about, that need to hear from you, that are afraid to create, cannot create. Some people, it's very difficult. You know, and I live in a community of artists all the time. So I'm surrounded by all these ultra talented people. And I forget that there's a listener out there who they can only play the radio. And without the listener, I mean, what purpose do I serve?
So you think it's mostly so your advice would be to hone every angle of your craft.
Hone every angle of your craft, certainly. If you're a guitar player, be the best guitar player you can be.
Yeah.
If you're a poet, an artist, whatever, and there's volume that comes with doing this.
Yeah.
Develop yourself, certainly. But if you've got an idea and you've written it down and you're like, I think that sucks. Well, you might think it sucks.
Somebody might think it's fucking fire, though.
Exactly. It might be the message that somebody needed to hear to make it through their day.
It came out of your brain. So there's a reason it came from within you.
Absolutely.
So I like that. I like that. I like the idea of like the basement tapes. Call back to a minute ago when we were just talking about the basement tapes. He was laid up from a motorcycle accident. Bob Dylan was.
Yeah.
And he wrote this list full of fucking tracks. I think it was like 30 tracks, 30 or 40 tracks.
That's prolific in itself.
It was 40 tracks of Bob Dylan nonstop, and he was laid up in a bed and just couldn't perform them. Just literally wrote them out note for note.
Yeah.
But every single one of those songs had meaning and had a reason.
Absolutely.
I think the Basement Tapes was only a 15-track album. But then later on down the road, he wrote the rights off to the remaining 35 songs or 25 songs or whatever it was.
I got you.
And then when he kind of sold the rights to those songs, eventually came the new Basement Tapes, and we'll get into that after the show.
All right.
But I'm excited to show you that. But that's important, though. It's like there's a reason that it's coming out, and it's like maybe you just invest in it.
Absolutely. Say you're Bob Dylan and you write 30 tracks. You're not going to like 7 of them. And you're going to think, man, I ain't going to fool with that.
This is going to be a 23-track album.
Right. Yeah. And then that 7, Grant Carter wrote this song, and I heard it, and I said, man, that sounds like a Gypsy Lifter song. And it did, kind of. But it wasn't a song that Gypsy Lifter had even put out. And Gypsy Lifter was on hiatus at the time. Grant Carter let a friend of his do the song. It's a big song for his friend. It could have been ours. But because I was tired and critical, we didn't develop that one song. And my songs, Wrong Side of the Tracks, had some weak ass lyrics for 15 years. And over the last year and a half, I got that shit right where I want it.
Tuned up.
Yeah.
Outro on the song when we go do it.
Oh, we want to. So, is it okay if we outro on champagne and whiskey today?
Absolutely.
So, last couple minutes, we'll give to you.
Tell people where they can find your music, where they can contact you, your social medias, anybody you want to shout out. It's all you. Last few minutes.
Thank you.
Also, your upcoming events, including May 13th. Don't forget about that.
Thank you. May 13th, I'm doing my solo act at Inner City Farmhouse in Louisville, Kentucky. It's going to be my first solo act in many, many years. I'm going to be playing mostly all original music, a couple of covers. But right now, I just want to say, Riley Smith, Nathan McFarland, thank you so much for everything that you've done to get Cameron Tabor Band music out. Eric, Easy Dwayne Brown, you're an incredible musician, and I'm ready to hear your album that you're working on with Nathan McFarland right now.
Fuck yes.
Cody Crook, you've worked your ass off with me. I'm looking forward to the Trauma Camp release. Whatever Mama Nature does, whatever you do with Zach Groves, whatever we do together in the future, thank you so much. You guys, check me out on The Ultimate Matthew Smith Music on Facebook, and look for my releases. Kentucky Gentleman's going to come out. Footnote's going to come out. And Gypsy Lifter. Oh, and let me touch on Jettison the Pilot real quick. We've got a Tool, Queens of the Stone Age influence 3-piece coming out, and I get to play the craziest bass I ever came up with in my life with this band.
Yeah.
If you're into Salvador Dali and MC Escher, and you like fucking punk rock and Tool, you're gonna love this band. Jettison the Pilot. It's about the people. It's a mutiny. It's a movement.
It is, man.
Yeah.
There's a ton of it out there.
Yeah, and guys, if you're working through stuff in your life, keep going. Do not give up. If you're an artist, don't give up. Keep developing those ideas, even the ones that you think that you need to just throw them away. Keep on plugging. Keep on polishing that thing, because the world needs it. The world needs you. We need you. Keep going.
Dude, and honestly, a half step at a time, dude. Halfway down the log each and every time.
That's right.
So, seriously, Matthew, I can't thank you enough for coming in today. And
Thanks
you
for
could have been
having
doing
me, guys.
anything for 2 hours, but you came in and talked to the Days Grimm and told us about the Cameron Tabor Band. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
We are going to outro on Champagne and Whiskey by the Cameron Tabor Band. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm, and this has been Matthew Smith.
Thank you so much, Matthew.
Peace.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I needed to kill the weary. And in that bar I found my
That was a tough.
It was just a dusty old pool hall. Just across the Indonesia line.
So I had to write it all down.
That's where I met that angel. She was just a drinking kind. Holy water healed my spirit, but a mix of whiskey wrecked my heart.
Yeah, I've got it.
I said I'm partial to my bourbon girl, so I ordered up some Maker's Mark. Well, somewhere down the line, I finally did what I came to do. Yeah, and I can't remember much more than that. Tell you the truth. No, I don't know her last name, but she's from Champagne. She likes whiskey. No, I don't know her last name, but she's from Champagne. She likes whiskey. So that's why I'm here asking, do you think that you could help me out? 'Cause I was lost when I was searching, and I'm lost and finally found. So, Mr. Barkeep, if you can, shed some light on this mystery. Yeah, 'cause all they took was just one shot of that girl, and I was history. No, I don't know the last name, but she's from Champagne. She likes a whiskey. No, I don't know the last name, but she's from Champagne. She likes a whiskey, whiskey, whiskey. Oh no, no, no last name. She's from Champagne. She likes whiskey. No, I don't know her last name. She's from Champagne. She likes.
Hey guys, if you liked what you heard today, there will be a new episode next Tuesday, as well as every Tuesday at 6 a.m. So hit that subscribe button and let your phone do all the work for you.